NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play. What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. Okay, this is it. The end of the season wrap-up show. The Nets season is officially over. It ended actually, I think, Thursday or Friday last week. I don't even actually remember completely. And the NBA playoffs are just beginning, but obviously the Nets did not make the playoffs. So here it is, the end of the season wrap-up show. So let's just dive right in. And I'm going to go over what I think about this Nets season, some of the things that I feel, some of the pros, the cons. And I might go player by player and give an overall grade, something along those lines, just for some fun. But first, I'll just go off with the overall picture. The Nets have ended up finishing 28-54. I predicted them to win 30 games, so I was off by 2. But this is the closest I've ever been with accurately predicting their record. So look, who knows what could have happened this year if Jeremy Lin didn't get hurt. It's hard to really speculate because if Jeremy Lin didn't get hurt, we probably would not have seen the development of Spencer Dinwiddie the way we did. But, or even Karis LeVert for that matter. But then again, we also don't know what could have happened if D'Angelo Russell didn't get hurt and missed 30-something games. Perhaps this Nets team could have been more competitive and made a deeper run for the playoffs and maybe just missed the playoffs. But overall, I think 28-54... I'll take that. If you look at the big picture of things, if you're going to tell me that Jeremy Lin was going to get hurt and miss the whole year and that D'Angelo Russell was going to miss 30-plus games, I would be pretty pleased that the Nets did not finish in the bottom 5 in the league, which they did not. They ended up with the 8th worst record in the league, so there were 7 teams worse than them. So then again, there wasn't a lot of separation between the worst teams and the Nets, but still, overall, I'm pleased with this Nets season, especially towards the end of the season where they won 3 of their last 4 games and they looked really good. Granted, that was against some teams that were tanking like the Bulls, but either way, they looked much better at the last stretch of the season. So when it's all said and done, I'm pretty pleased with the Nets record. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk about some of the players. I'm just going to go through the roster and just give an overall, opinion of what I felt the season was for them. Let's just start off with the G League guys. James Webb, Isaiah Whitehead, and Milton Doyle. Those guys, look, they played. They are who they are. They're G League players. The only one to really talk about in that situation is Isaiah Whitehead, who looked very, very good, if not almost star-like in the G League when he had back-to-back 40-plus point games. Averaged over 20 points a game in the G League to lead the team in scoring. When he was with the Nets, he had moments, once again, of looking really solid, but he just could not stay up. They had, Kenny Atkinson kept, calling him and demoting him and calling him, and it's understandable because the Nets, they're deep in the point guard spot, but overall, I think those guys played well when they had their opportunities, and I think the biggest takeaway from those G League guys is Whitehead. Big thing that they did with Whitehead was they played him off the ball a lot in the G League, and even played him as the small forward, as the 3. He is 6'4", so he is a small forward, but he has the strength and the, and the quickness to be a small forward, so that was interesting, and he really thrived there. And they said that he played really well off the ball, which is why he had those 40-point games that he had in the G League. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with him moving forward. I think the Nets really like Isaiah Whitehead, we'll see. Does he get an opportunity next season? I don't know, because Jeremy Lin's going to be back, and I don't see the Nets trading him, and you're going to have Dinwiddie, Lin, LeVert, D'Angelo Russell, Whitehead, and then if you want to count Joe Harris and Alan Crabb, who, by the way, Alan Crabb really played well down the stretch, but we're going to get to him later. I think overall it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think Whitehead played very well for the opportunity he was given, and he really took advantage of the G League. And the other G League guys, Doyle and Webb, they had their opportunities. They looked solid. So I'm going to sum them up all together. Give them all B pluses. Because when they came up to the Nets, they contributed. And when they played in the G League, they did their thing. Whitehead in particular, I think you got to give him maybe an A minus, because the only thing that would have made Whitehead's tenure better this year, Whitehead's season better, is if he stayed fully healthy and really made a big impact at the NBA level. But still, like I see, had a great job in the G League. So those guys, B+, A-. All right, so now let's continue. We'll just go right through the list. Quincy Acey had moments of like he always does. I think I've talked about him before. He is who he is. He is a solid rotational big who can a stereotypical stretch four. He had moments that were really good, moments that were bad. I give him a solid B because he didn't really exceed expectations, but he didn't do poorly. Maybe a B- because he had inconsistent playing time and he had a stretch where he struggled. I'll give him a B, B-. Jared Allen. I give Jared Allen an A, and the reason is simple. He completely exceeded expectations that a lot of people believed. There were some people who believed Jared Allen was going to be a G League guy. I personally thought he definitely was going to be a rotational big, and I did predict that he was going to become the starting center by the end of the season. It was one of my bold predictions, and I'm ecstatic that's true. But Jared Allen exceeded all expectations and really is proving that he could be a really key player with the Nets moving forward. He's 19 years old. He's a great shot blocker, a good rebounder, a solid finisher. He just has to develop a little bit more of a consistent offensive skill set. But I really see Jared Allen possibly becoming a player like Clint Capella. Like, that's the type of player I see him developing into. Clint Capella is a great shot blocker, good rebounder, and a solid finisher. And I see that in maybe a year or two. I see Jared Allen being that type of player and that type of mold of the big, very quick, athletic, lateral big who can really pose a threat on the pick and roll game like Clint Capella. So Jared Allen gets an A because I think he exceeded all expectations, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with him moving forward. DeMarre Carroll. DeMarre Carroll also gets an A. I don't think you could have asked for any more from DeMarre Carroll. He was relatively healthy for him this year, had great veteran presence, really played well, went down when he needed to, did everything the Nets could ask him for. He played defense, he made threes, he put the ball on the floor, and he was a great veteran leader. He gets an A. And I think the Nets will probably be trading him, though, this offseason. That's just a prediction of mine. I think the Nets could get a late first-round draft pick for him. We'll see, but very pleased with DeMarre Carroll. Allen Crabbe. I give Allen Crabbe a B+. He finally became the player that the Nets were hoping for down the stretch when he was exploding with 40-point performances. I give him a B+ because where was that at the beginning of the year? Like, where was that, Allen? Beginning of the year, he was really frustrating me. I remember I said, I think this guy is mediocre. I'm pleased. He kind of proved me wrong down the stretch, but he still has to be more consistent. But I think Allen Crabbe could be a key player for the Nets moving forward. I really feel he got very comfortable towards the second half of the season. I give him a B+ because we saw why the Nets went out to get Allen Crabbe. And you look at his numbers, he ended up averaging 13 points per game. That's pretty solid considering that, he had some really inconsistent play at the beginning. Dante Cunningham, whatever. I'm not even going to give him a grade. B-, C+. I don't know. He came in halfway through the season. He played the center spot at times, backup center. Was a solid player. He was just solid. I'll give him a B-. I have nothing really to say about Dante Cunningham. I've said it before. He's a solid rotational player. He's not going to be on the Nets next season. He's a free agent. I don't think they're going to bring him back. So whatever. He was solid. Okay, whatever. Spencer Dinwiddie. Got to give Dinwiddie. I'm going to give him a B+. I think he was deserving of an A, but he kind of slipped in the second half of the season. I think a lot of it just had to do with the fact that when D'Angelo Russell came back, he kind of took a step back. And it is interesting to see what's going to happen with this Nets moving forward. I don't think the Dinwiddie-D'Angelo Russell combo is going to work out playing those guys together. I think we've seen them play well when in each other's absence, but together, one of them keeps on taking a step back. And I don't think we saw that dynamic work too much. So we'll see, though. Maybe Kenny Atkinson can figure out a rotation where it works out. So I give Dinwiddie a B+ because he looked really good at the beginning of the year and really took over that leadership role in D'Angelo Russell's absence. But then he kind of tapered at the end of the season. And so therefore, I only give him a B+. He did win the skills challenge, which was awesome. But, he didn't keep it going the whole year. So I give him a B+, but still, very pleased with the development of Dinwiddie. I think you all have to be very pleased with what the Nets have in him. And we'll see what happens moving forward. Joe Harris. Love this guy. I mean, Joe Harris, I'm giving him an A. Just like DeMario Carroll, I don't think you could have asked for any more than you got from Joe Harris. Shot 41% from three this year, but also was second in the league, shooting over 60% from drives to the basket. No, not second. He led the league. I mean, I don't know if he ended up finishing leading the league. I know he was going back and forth between him and LeBron James of drives to the basket with shooting percentage. But he shot over 60% when going to the basket and finishing around the rim, which was either the same or better than LeBron James. So if you were to tell me Joe Harris was going to be at the same level of going to the basket as LeBron, I would have said you're nuts. But you could not have asked for any more from Joe Harris. And he's a free agent, and I really hope the Nets bring him back. He wants to come back to the Nets, but I think he's going to get paid. I think there's going to be a team that's really going to want Joe Harris, and I think they're going to offer him at least, $8 to $10 million a year. And the Nets don't have that much cap space to try to re-sign him, and I think they might have his bird rights. I'm not sure. I have to double check that. But either way, unless the Nets make a move, like maybe unloading DeMario Carroll's contract or Timothy Mozgov's contract, they may not be able to bring Harris back. But he wants to come back. I think he should come back. But I was so pleased with Joe Harris. I really love this guy. I really do. I remembered last year when they signed him, I'm like, what's the point of this? I've been so proven wrong. So he gets an A because, like I said, you couldn't have asked for more. Hollis-Jefferson, I'm giving him a B. He looked really good at the beginning of the year. Injuries happened. He came back. Didn't seem to be the same type of player. Definitely improved on the offensive end. I think this power forward spot for him is kind of fits him better than the small forward spot. I think he's proven that he could be a legit power forward. But I just give him a B because he, once again, like Spencer Dinwiddie, he started off great, tapered off after injury in second half of the season. I think if Hollis-Jefferson, it's all about consistency. If he can consistently be that offensive player that he was at the beginning of the year with his defensive ability and his toughness and his athleticism, I think Hollis-Jefferson really has the potential to take his game to the next level and be a possible star with the Nets. That being said, I still just give him a B because he was just inconsistent again, and a lot of that I think was the injuries. So, we'll see moving forward, but a lot of potential with Rondé, and I'm also going to be very excited to see how he develops over the offseason. The key with him is he has to be able to knock down an open three. Look, I'm not saying Hollis-Jefferson has to shoot 35% or better from three-point land, but he has to at least become respectable from three and has to be able to develop a three-point shot that at least he can make it when he's open. That's the key. Until he does that, I think he kind of is not going to get a lot better. But, we'll see. Caris LeVert. I give Caris LeVert an A-. I think LeVert showed a lot of glimpses of how good he can be. Same thing when D'Angelo Russell went down, LeVert took his game to the next level. We saw a lot of good things from Caris LeVert. He developed the way I expected him to be. I give him an A- because of that development. I couldn't give him higher because he didn't become a star, which is kind of a little unfair to assume that Caris LeVert was going to become a star in his second year. But I will say this. Next to D'Angelo Russell, Caris LeVert has the highest ceiling of potential. He really does. And then I think Jared Allen is third. But I think Caris LeVert has star potential. And that's the reason why I didn't give him an A, because you could have gotten a little bit more out of him. He could have been a little bit more consistent. But I think the development was exactly what you want to see from Caris LeVert, going from his 10 points a game last year to average 12 points a game. But we saw more efficient scoring and more efficient play from LeVert. So he gets an A-. After Caris LeVert, we've got Jeremy Lin. There's no grade to give Jeremy Lin. He played one game, he got hurt. But it is exciting to see what's going to happen with him moving forward. His rehab and recovery has gone very well. The Nets have been very optimistic about him. He's very optimistic. He believes that he's going to be much better and fully healthy and a completely different player next season, which is good because, look, I believe the Nets should try to trade Lin, but I don't think they'll be able to. Because what team's going to take a guy who missed a whole season with a patella, with a knee injury? Like, seriously, what team is going to trade for him? So I think it is important that Lin is fully healthy and gets off to a great start next season. And there's going to be a logjam in the guard position next year. But either way, I'm excited. If he comes back and he really is the different player like he thinks, this Nets team could be a completely different team. But he doesn't get a grade. It's not fair to grade somebody. He gets an NA, because he played one damn game and got hurt. But we'll see with Jeremy Lin moving forward. Timothy Mozgov. I'm going to give this guy an F. I mean, maybe I'll be fair and give him a D because he didn't really have a lot of opportunity to play, but he was so useless. And I knew he was going to be useless when the Nets got him. He was just a way to balance the salaries in the Lopez trade. But when he played, he was useless. I mean, he's a useless player. He's useless. I'll give him a D only because the fact that he got taken out of the rotation, so it's unfair to really expect a lot from him. But when he played, useless. Mozgov, you're useless. They still have him. Maybe the Nets could try to trade him. I don't know what team's going to take him, but useless. D. Jahlil Okafor. I'm giving this guy an NA. I don't care what anybody says. This guy got a really raw deal. He got traded to the Nets, and he thought he was going to get an opportunity. Should have gotten an opportunity, and he didn't. And I'm very mad at Kenny Atkinson for not playing this guy. I once again get it. He didn't quite fit the system with the Nets played. His plus-minus was really bad when he was out there. But once again, if you're only out there 5 minutes a game, how much of a plus-minus impact can you really make? You know, you're playing 5 minutes a game, you're playing inconsistent minutes. When you play poorly, you're going to really take a hit on the plus-minus. If you play well, you're going to have a really high plus-minus, you know? You can't blame a guy for having mediocre numbers and mediocre performances when he didn't play. So I'm giving him an NA. I'm not giving him a poor grade because I personally believe that he would have been at least a B type of player if he had the opportunity to play. I still can't believe Kenny Atkinson didn't play him. It was a waste of talent. He's a flipping third overall pick in 2 years ago's draft. He's got tons of skill. I don't want to hear this doesn't fit in the system. Didn't play well when he was out there. Play the guy. And so I think it was a waste of a move for the Nets. Obviously, it was done to get out of Trevor Booker's contract, but Booker only had 1 year left anyway. But it's a wash. I think it was very unfair. He got a raw deal. He's not going to come back to the Nets. I don't think the Nets are even going to want to bring him back. He gets an NA. But when he was out there, I liked him personally. I liked what I saw when he had an opportunity to play, but he just didn't have the opportunity. So Okafor gets an NA. Can't harp on that too much. This video will go on for another 15 minutes if I could, don't get me started. Very raw deal for Jahlil. I'm so sorry. As a Net fan, I apologize about how you were treated. I hope nothing but the best for you. D'Angelo Russell. Hard to say again. I'm giving him a B because we saw the glimpses of what he could have been, but he should have been better. I might give him less, to be honest. I might give him a B minus C plus because I expected more from D'Angelo Russell. I know he was hurt and he missed over 30 games, but this was a guy who was going into his third year in the league, and he was supposed to become the star of the Nets. And we saw the glimpses of it, but we didn't really see much more than we saw from him last year with the Lakers. And I think if Laker fans would agree, if a Laker fan saw D'Angelo Russell this year, they'll probably be like, well, that was him last year. Glimpses of talent, but inconsistent. So it's hard to really give him better than a C plus B minus because I didn't see the next step. I saw more of the same. Now, he looked really good at the beginning of the year before he got hurt, when he was averaging 20 points a game. So that is what I'm hoping to see from him as a fully healthy D'Angelo Russell. But, it is a little hard because, like I said, he missed 30 games. But from what I saw, I expected more personally. This guy is supposed to be the face of the Nets. So I'll give him a B minus because of the injuries. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I expected to see more. But we saw what he could be, and hopefully he stays healthy. And I just want to see D'Angelo Russell play 72 games. Maybe not. Okay, he's not going to play 72 games. But, maybe. I'd like to see him play at least 72 games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would like to see D'Angelo Russell play, let's go 70 games, and really see, how good he could be when fully healthy. But I'm giving him a B minus. And then finally, the last guy, well, not finally, but the last player is Nick Stauskas. He's like Jahlil Okafor. I'm going to give him, at least he actually had opportunities to play. I'm going to give him a C plus. He had glimpses. We kind of saw who he is. I think that he got a little bit of a raw deal as well. He didn't get an opportunity to play too much, but when he did play, he seemed solid. So maybe a B minus. Can't go too much into Nick Stauskas. I don't even think he's going to be on the team next year. That trade, I saw why Sean Marks did it, and I think both those players didn't get the opportunities that maybe they deserved. I don't know. But when Stauskas did play, he looked solid at times. You see why, he was, considered to be, I think he was a top 15, he was a lottery pick. I think we saw why he had potential, but can't go too much into him. Which then brings me to my final person, which is Kenny Atkinson. I want to give Atkinson a B+. I was really pleased with a lot of things Atkinson did this year, except for Jahlil Okafor. That's the only reason why he's not getting an A. I feel like he handled the Jahlil Okafor part really poorly. I think I said before that one loss to the Hornets when Dwight Howard had 30 and 30. I blamed Atkinson for that. But overall, I think Kenny Atkinson still shows why he was a good hire for the Nets. He does a really good job developing these players. I mean, look at the players look at what they've got out of some of these players, like LeVert and Allen and Crabbe and all those guys. Like, we're seeing Atkinson, Joe Harris. We're seeing Atkinson being able to work with these young players. So he gets a B+ because he did exactly what he was supposed to do, develop. And the Nets looked better than last year, and it looks like they have a future. Like I said, not giving him an A, strictly on the Jahlil Okafor part. I don't like what he did. I don't like Dante Cunningham as the backup center in any circumstance. So that's why I'm giving him a B+. But overall, he gets a B+, and I still like him. I still think he's a very good coach, and I think he's going to be really good moving forward with this Nets team when it comes to with these young guys. So in conclusion, overall, I'm going to give the Nets season a B+. And I think you have to agree with that. I think if you realize I was giving a lot of B's to a lot of players, and I think overall this Nets season is a B+. Look, the whole point of this Nets season was to develop these young guys and see what we have. And we saw it. We saw the development of Allen Crabbe. We saw the development of Caris LeVert, the development of Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, Joe Harris, Jared Allen. We saw these guys really take their games to the next level. It's just a matter of what's going to happen now. Is D'Angelo Russell going to join that group? Are these guys going to take the step to the next level next season? So we saw the development. We saw the potential. 28 wins with an injured season with no Jeremy Lin and and D'Angelo Russell missing a third of the season. 28 wins is pretty good. The Nets did not finish with the worst record. They didn't even finish in the bottom 5. So you have to feel pretty good about the Nets team. The only thing, in my opinion, that would have made this season better was if the Nets made the playoffs. I'm going to be honest. Which that would have been put them as an A. But I'm giving them a B+ because the whole point was development. The whole point was to see these young guys. We saw it. And I think if you're a Nets fan like me, you're pretty pleased with what you saw. And look, I think it's exciting. The Nets, they still need to get a little bit more. They still need to work on getting their players more consistent. That was the biggest thing, is consistency. And they have to learn how to close out games. But, that's something that they're going to work on the offseason, and we'll see what happens next year. So, overall, B+. So, there you have it. Done. Every single player and coach and the overall season graded by me. Like I said, I'm pleased with this season. I think overall was a success for the Nets, and we'll see what happens moving forward. So, thank you all so much. Keep your eyes open for the next NetsBoy episode, which probably won't be for a couple months until the NBA draft. I'll probably do a video about the NBA draft and who I think the Nets should get, and maybe some offseason moves that they'll do. And there's a lot of decisions that Sean Marks needs to make, and we'll see what happens moving forward. So I thank you all again. So please comment and share some of your opinions of the Nets season this year, some players, some things you liked, and some things you would like to see maybe moving forward. So until next time, like that. Until next time. This is NetsBoy, signing off. When the Nets just can't